to determine the size generator, that can be a source of problem. So all the contractors bid on the exact make and model of generator to provide. There was no substitutions, and that was in specs. We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting. 4 contractors showed up, 3 submitted bids. We had made the pre-bid meeting mandatory so that none of the contractors can say after they submit their bids that this isn't how I expected it. I thought the generator would be closer, farther away. We told them specifically where the generator would be. We also spoke out specifically what the owner's obligation, the village's obligation is that we're going to provide the concrete pad for them, where Jeff is. We showed them where the gas source was, so there's no questions about that. We showed them where the automatic transfer switch was to be located, told them it was going to be outside, had to be a weatherproof transfer switch. Then there was all the questions that came up. We issued an addendum, question and answer addendum to all the contractors, faxed it out to them, got confirmation from all the faxes, got on the actually new bid form. There was actually a spot on the bid form where they acknowledged the addendum. All the contractors did that. So it is specified as prevailing wage, talking about all these issues. And it's up to the contractor to determine what their number is. Typically, without any other, say, information, it's usually about 50% equipment costs and 50% for installation. So generator costs $15,000, figure it'd be about $30,000 install. That's kind of just a general rule of thumb. So that's basically the situation we have out here. Now with Associated Electric and Genesis, Chris Electric has done a lot of work in the village. He's familiar with it. He is an owner of the company. And the guys from Associated Electric and Genesis who are along the lines of project managers and employees. The worst thing you want to be as an estimator of a company is the low bidder and leave a lot on the table unless you're the owner, and also bid a project and have it come in over that. So basically, this job is bid out according to with some tight specs, mandatory pre-bid, technology addendum, and I think that just Chris Electric with familiarity with Village of Hainesville, basically sharpened his pencil, cut you guys a break, and the guys from Associated and Genesis were more along the lines of covering their costs or making sure that they covered their costs. Also, with Hurricane Sandy, I'm sure we're not the only ones looking into generator work at the moment. There is a backlog for these generators, but I'm sure that they workload, they may be busy. Only 3 bidders. Like I said, I think Chris Electric, we reviewed the scope with him. He's comfortable with it, and I think that he's just really
if I may,
maintaining relationships with.
Can I ask one clarifying?
Yeah.
I just want to restate, make sure that I heard correctly. All 3 companies bid on the exact same generator.
Correct. Generator.
Okay.
Quiet source.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Then why is it listed under as a gen set? Is that just?
That's the technical term. This generator, it's a gen set. It's the generator. It's the.
Well, there's a generator manufacturer called Genset. There is a Genset.
Okay. Well,
the Genset Co. what they call it, I believe. Okay. And it's out in Spokane, Washington. But you said you bid it on the Generac.
The Generac 48.
And that's what you guys are going with?
Yes.
That's okay. That clarifies that. Okay. It's a Generac. Next question is when you're putting this in, is that going to take up any part of the sidewalk? Because you need to be, what, 3 feet away from the building when you're installing these generators? Is that going to be blocking anywhere the sidewalk there?
It's actually going to go next to the air conditioner, I think it is out there, Jeff?
The rooftop.
The roof.
It doesn't affect the sidewalk.
It doesn't affect, so it's 3 feet, it's 3 feet within from the building, and then it won't affect the sidewalk. It's a smaller unit for that.
It's pretty substantial, but it will be.
it's tall, right? It's taller,
It's
taller than the wire.
36 inches wide, 77 inches long.
Okay.
3 feet
And
tall.
it's going to block our view.
Yes.
It will, yeah.
just have what might be a dumb question. If we're there, are they the exact same generators for both buildings?
Correct.
So, no, because one says a 3-phase liquid cool and one says a 1-phase liquid cool. So I was just wondering, like, if they're the same generators, why the slight price discrepancy? Is that the reason why there's a slight price discrepancy? Is that because one's a 1-phase?
Because one's 3-phase and one's 1-phase.
And just having.
No?
I'd look that up to the contractor to tell you, but one is the one at the Public Works facility is probably a little bit farther away, there's a little bit more conduit.
Can I make a suggestion? I've been trying to give Eric from Chris Electric the floor for the past couple of minutes. I think it's only fair that we let Eric have the floor for a few minutes and address the board, and we can ask him some questions directly. Why don't you step up to the mic? And Eric has done quite a bit of work in the village of Hainesville, and I'm willing to say he does it rather well, too.
That's right.
So,
The first issue to address, the reason why the building next door is thousands of dollars more, is it also requires a service disconnect. The transfer switch that you receive for a single phase has it's called service rating. They have a breaker inside it. 3-phase transfer switch does not have a breaker, and by code you have to fuse the transfer switch prior to the transfer switch. So a fused disconnect has to be installed before it feeds the transfer switch. Here, it's included with the transfer switch. They're the same generators. This building is single phase, 400 amp. Next across over there is 400 amp 3-phase. Voltage is the same, but it's one single phase, one 3-phase.
One of the things that I was kind of, and you know, Kevin Bear was talking about the importance of the public works, which I'm not taking anything away from. But what I'm saying is, if we were thinking about maybe buying one generator now and phasing in the next one next year, whatever, next year's budget, are we most concerned with the 3-phase motors on doors? Is that why we're looking at that? Or is it, well, what I'm saying is, if we're going to go with the public works, okay, building, supposedly according to our EMA booklet, okay, most of the sheltering and everything else is supposed to be done either at Prairie View or Avon Township. That's the designated spots for sheltering, I believe. We have listed on our EMA plan. And this is the EOC area and the building, the garage next door, okay? So we're going to take away from our EMA to put the generator first out there and not worry about this location first.
I have made no recommendation.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no,
but you see
that's why I want us to discuss it. Do we buy one, because the thinking was that we do this building first, but I thought Kevin made an interesting comment, and that's why I want us all to throw out our opinion of where we think it should go.
And the EMA SOP can always be amended or changed or audited. That's, you know.
Well, fine, we have, right now we're working on what it is right now.
Oh, no, I understand.
That's what I'm saying. So we're working on what it is right now. You know, and we're going to say, well, we're going to put it over there. Well, because this is where the government's running, here, through this building, not through there. That is to clean up, make sure that we can get our services out to the people that need it.
Well, and I was just looking at Kelly, because Kelly, what would happen with our computer and everything here if we're over there?
Well, if you set it up over there and you want us to move everything over there, that's one thing. But we were talking to another standby, is we have a couple of portable generators that we could hook up our computer systems here. I don't know how much it would hold. You would know that more.
Most likely you'd be able to get it with a small drag behind gasoline driven generator.
Yes.
But can we run furnaces on that? Because if it's a winter disaster,
You can't run for
we don't want to, you're not going to be over here freezing your buns off.
You're getting into a larger generator at that point, and then you got to worry about fuel and that, so.
Yeah.
But we also just get with CSI for doing the cloud backup.
That's on backup, right?
So basically, to answer your question on that, everything that's in the cloud can be accessed on another remote terminal over there with very minimal setup. You do it on laptops or anything else like that. So you can still run the government. Granted, you know, the water bill might go out late, but I don't think anybody would really care about that.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, if I think our biggest concern, correct me if I'm wrong, please, is that we have a catastrophic event of sorts. And the village is in disarray. So obviously, my guess is the first order of business is disaster recovery, aiding residents and disaster recovery. So we need to be able to get our equipment, fuel our equipment, yes, run the EMA command center, which actually is supposed to be in this garage, out here, not this building, it's in this garage.
But it takes its power off this building.
Right, yeah, but I guess my question is, you know.
Could you move it there?
Yeah, if the generator was there, it probably would already be over there, and we would be using this for storage.
Time out, just a quick second.
Yeah.
Can you keep Eric standing?
No. I like Eric standing.
The only other question I have for you is I've got no idea what the other contractors, where they are, maybe due to overhead of their companies. But this is what I do for a living. I install these generators. You guys can put all the confidence in the world. I mean, I installed actually one of these today, so.
My question wasn't really, when I raised it, wasn't about your integrity.
I was floored as well, I'll tell you.
I'm just wondering how somebody else could be so much higher.
What's the same
So,
way?
I have always found a way to hold my feet to the fire and getting something done as quickly as I can. The quicker I move on to a different job, the more lucrative my business is.
Thanks.
So.
It was the same way with the street contract, but, I mean, Baker was $120,000 under current.
Oh, Eric, you left us in.
Basically the
Back in
same.
trouble.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know you don't have a crystal ball, but
Just for myself.
have the prices of generators gone up significantly from year to year?
Yes, they do go up. It's from last year to this year was a 3% increase. We do with Sandy. I'm sure it'll go up more than 3% by next year. Because, you know, this Sandy is really, I mean, it's opened a lot of people's eyes. And people it's supply and demand. So.
Didn't they change the EPA rules too, for class 3 generators now?
Actually, the only two states that are concerned with right now is California and actually Canada.
Oh, so.
And there's one more state that have to comply to different EPA standards. This generator is a standard. It's still quiet, low emissions. Just the fact that it's an 1,800 RPM generator. You run your car at 5,000 RPM or you run your car at 2,000 RPM. Where is it going to last longer? It's going to last longer at a lower RPM plus lower noise. And well, that would.
We cut off Gary before, so let's go back to Gary.
Well, the only thing I was saying is, you tell me, you know, you're saying about the difference in the bids. The street repaving bid, you know, Baker was $120,000 under 2 other bidders, you know, and when we did native restoration, I would hate to tell you how far underneath it they were between everybody else. I mean, bids come in different, you know.
Well, when it comes to money, if I don't ask, I feel bad.
Well,
I thought you'd be happy he was the cheapest one. We thought that was your goal.
You
I can raise my price.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
I can raise the price if it makes you.
No. You can lower it and make me happy, but it won't make you happy.
Okay, does anybody have any more questions for Eric? All right, we'll let Eric sit down.
Any more questions for Greg? Because I called him back from his trip home, and I don't want to be beat up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just, Greg, do you have any opinion from an engineering aspect of which building you would do first before you leave the room? Kind of food for thought, and then you skedaddle out the door?
Yeah, you run some cover.
If I were a resident and something happened, the first place I would go would be the village hall. I really needed something.
Okay.
but if you needed a place to stay, where would you?
Polynesian.
They don't have electricity.
I would come here, but by same token, you can definitely house a lot more people over there in Public Works. But I leave that up to you.
Okay, all right, thank you, Greg.
I can throw in a little bit of perspective on the disaster relief, having lots of friends and relatives who live in the affected areas. And while yes, it's a very nice thing to have the village hall set up, the thing that people were most appreciative were taking a shower. Having, a place to sleep was nice, but taking a shower, having